talk eruption in boxing here. So we have 2 videos inside a week, so I'm getting a little bit better. I've got a little bit of time, so I wanted to talk about one of the most interesting matchups taking place this weekend, specifically today. A clash taking place in England involving the 2 major cities over in Yorkshire. We have Barry Kid Gallahad representing Sheffield, and he's competing in his first world title up against defending IBF 126 pound world champion Josh the Leeds Warrior Warrington, obviously from Leeds City. Now, for those who are in the United Kingdom, from my understanding, there is only 35 odd miles between the 2 cities, so you can travel in between them, between one city to the other, inside an hour. And so the atmosphere for this fight should be very lively, very competitive. I believe there's going to be sort of a migration of a lot of football fans coming to this fight. I hear Sheffield United pipped Leeds for a promotion berth to the English Premiership, so there's going to be heated exchanges, no doubt, between the crowds. But the fight is intriguing in the sense that it is a real clash of styles. You know, it couldn't be better personified in the fight. Now, Josh Warrington has had an unbelievable level of momentum in his career, has literally become transformed in the last 2 fights. After a very lackluster career under Eddie Hearn, but when he moved promotions to Frank Warren, Warren has, managed his career excellently, got him the fights that he was desiring for a number of years, and Josh has rewarded Frank Warren's faith in him with lifting a world title and defending it. So Barry Kid Gallahad, interesting character. He's from the infamous Winkerbank gym over in Sheffield, which without doubt is the most renowned and the most famous gym in terms of achievements as well in England. They've produced so many excellent fighters over the past 2-3 decades. Now, Kid Gallahad, he's had a checkered sort of career. His momentum has been interrupted by a failed drugs test, which he vehemently denies, and also injuries which has really hindered his momentum. A skillful fighter, orthodox fighter who likes to switch hit. One of those fighters that uses upper body movement, head movement to try and frustrate his opponents. Really embodies that hit and don't hit style. Kid Gallahad, he's a rhythm fighter, and he likes to operate at a pace which he likes to dictate, likes to sort of get in and out of range, work behind its jab, very active. A lot of the sort of Winkerbank fighters who are trained by Dominic Ingle have that sort of elusive style. Nassim Hamids, the Junior Witters, etc., Harold Bomber Graham. Very hard to hit kind of opponents, and that's what Kid Gallahad likes to do in fights. He's not an inside fighter. In fact, Kid Gallahad has been deducted points from holding on the inside, certainly against James Jazza Dickens, who you guys might remember fought Guillermo Rigondia over in Wales. Got stopped, I think, in the second round with an overhand left from Rigondia, which broke his jaw. But Jazza Dickens had a very competitive fight with Kid Gallahad. Was outboxing him, out hustling him really. Kid Gallahad got deducted a point, so he really needed, I felt, he needed a strong finish in the championship rounds. And credit to him, he managed to knock Jazza Dickens out. But I felt Jazza Dickens had expanded too much energy. For the first 9 rounds, he was utilizing a lot of movement, a lot of punches, and that's the kind of style you need up against a boxer. Try and restrict his room, just give him a barrage of punches. Doesn't really have to be the sweet science, can be ugly, but disrupt the rhythm of a rhythm boxer, and that's exactly what he did. But he ran out of gas and he became a sitting duck. And Kid Gallahad knocked him out with a left hook, so definitely displayed power late in the fight, so you've got to give credit to him. In his last outing, Kid Gallahad fought in the United States up against a very good American amateur, Cleary, I think his name was. Gallahad managed to get a decision in the fight. A reasonably good performance, showed some skills in the fight up against somebody who had potential but maybe didn't quite replicate the form he showed in the amateurs. But it was a good outing fighting in the United States, and that's what he's going to need when he's fighting in the cauldron, which is going to be Leeds. Josh Warrington is a massive ticket seller. I'm not sure how many fans are going to travel from Sheffield, but given very close proximity between the two cities, I certainly expect, Kid Gallahad to have maybe a couple of thousand, supporters going over there. I'm not sure, but that wouldn't be unreasonable to expect that. So now Josh Warrington is a very well conditioned fighter, has a V12 sort of supercharged engine, high octane fighter who likes to come forward, but it's educated pressure. He's not like an Antonio Margarito who will continuously march forward relentlessly, or even like a Jesus Rojas who fights in the 126-pound division, one of those come forward brawlers at all wills. Margarito, very skillful fighter, so I'm not condemning his skills and that he's just one-dimensional coming forward. He's obviously a hell of a lot better than that, but I'm just trying to articulate the movements in terms of coming forward. Warrington will operate behind a high guard, and he wants to engage with his opponents on the inside, short range. He'll fire an unbelievable amount of combinations on, certainly at that range where he can, and he likes to work the head and the body. His body punching has become one of his niche skills over the years. He utilizes that aspect very well to try and break down the opponents. He did that very well against Carl Frampton, just worked head and body, really did slow Carl Frampton down. But what Warrington did well in that fight is when they were trading punches at short range, Warrington kept swiveling off to his right and pivoting off to Carl Frampton's left, and it was a good tactic because it took away Frampton's left hook, which was his dominant punch early on, certainly in the middle stages of the fight. So Warrington definitely has some ring IQ. He's not an all-and-out brawler. It's very well coordinated attacks. And one of his better skills, which he showed against another rhythm sort of ranger boxer in Lee Selby when he won the world title. Now, he was giving away significant height, reach, and even weight, as Lee Selby was struggling with the weight. Now, Selby, as we know, is also a skillful boxer who likes to work behind his jab, work those fast combinations, using good footwork, to try and wrong foot opponents. Exactly what Kid Gallahad will try and do against Josh Warrington. So it's a very good learning fight for Josh. But what Josh did is, his ace card which he pulled out was his underrated foot speed. Behind a tight guard, he would cut that distance, use great acceleration. Lee Selby would try and use the jab, straight right hand, to try and pick off Josh, knowing that he would come in, but Josh would get underneath those punches, just accelerate, and then he would fire that left hook, knowing that Lee Selby carries that right hand very low. When he recoils, he doesn't really bring it up to his jaw. So Josh, who studied Lee Selby for a number of years, as he was desperate for that fight, but Eddie Hearn didn't make the fight, but he was obsessed with Lee Selby. So credit to him and his father. They studied the tapes, they isolated Lee's deficiencies, and they capitalized. And Warrington's left hook, certainly to the head, worked fantastically well in that fight. He managed to completely take Lee Selby out of his rhythm, didn't let him settle. Selby had some bad cuts as well, so that didn't help matters for him. But it was a very good game plan from Josh Warrington, and that's how he succeeded. So that's what I was seeing happening in this fight. I think Josh Warrington's foot speed is going to be a good factor. Up against an elusive fighter who wants to fight from range, will try and box. Kid Gallahad, he's going to have to be more active in this fight. Now, Gallahad is a mandatory challenger. So the fight went to purse bids, and Queensbury Promotions, Frank Warren's promotions, won the purse bids. So the fight is taking place on BT Sport pay-per-view, one of their box office platform, and the fight is also being shown on ESPN Plus in the States. So for a matchroom fighter to get a decision, Kid Gallahad is either going to have to stop Josh Warrington, which I don't foresee happening. I don't feel Kid Gallahad has the explosive punching power. Excuse me. But he can certainly outbox Josh Warrington. But for him to outbox Warrington, he's going to have to throw at least 40-50 punches per round. And he's going to have at least a 30% connect rate. Now, Kid Gallahad is an accurate puncher. And defensively, he is actually very good. The upper body and head movement. But he doesn't like to be hit. I just see fragility in him. He just one of those fighters who just doesn't react well to being hit. And Carl Frampton spoke about Josh Warrington's underrated power. The statistics show that Josh Warrington is not a knockout. Certainly a fighter who doesn't have power. I think he's got under 10 knockouts 20 odd fights. So a very, according to the statistics, a low knockout ratio. But Frampton spoke about that. Josh hits a hell of a lot harder than what he had anticipated. So, and the signs were visible. He hurt Frampton early on. He hurt him in the third. He hurt him at numerous points in the fight. So Kid Gallahad is going to have to be far more active in this fight. I'm not sure whether he can significantly increase his output, but he must realize that this may be one of his only chances of lifting a world title, quite sort of late in his career. It may even be now or never for him. Certainly at 126 pounds, as the other champions, Oscar Valdez, Gary Russell Jr. and Leo Santa Cruz. A challenge against those fighters can probably only take place inside the United States. So this is effectively as good as home soil for kids. So he's gonna have to go out on his shield and put everything on the line here. I'm sure Dominic Ingle will relay that to him as well. But even for Josh Warrington, is he really going to relinquish his belts up against Kid Gallahad? He's been calling that Gary Russell Jr. He's been calling that the other incumbent champions. A fighter with a great deal of momentum. So I can't see Josh Warrington underperforming in this fight. He's going to be highly motivated. He's going to be buoyed by probably going to be a large sort of partisan crowd. There could be around 10,000 spectators, and most of them being from Leeds, so they're going to lift him. In terms of a prediction for the fight, Kid Gallahad does have a chance of a close decision on the cards, but I'm not sure whether he's going to throw as many punches or do as much damage to convince the judges of an upset in Leeds. Conversely, Warrington, I'm not sure whether he's going to stop Kid Gallahad. Gallahad defensively is still quite good. I don't think he's going to stay there in the pocket and get beaten up. He's going to be negative. He's going to smother Josh Warrington at any opportunity he can. Smother his work, frustrating, wrong foot him, keep the fight at long range, mid range. He's going to pot shot, single punches. He's not really a combination puncher, so that's what he's going to do. But I'm going to have to go with Josh Warrington. Warrington probably by decision as well. He's too strong, too relentless. He pretty much walked through Carl Frampton's punches, so it looks like he's got a very good chin as well. I'm pretty sure Frampton hits harder than Kid Gallahad, so he may not even respect Kid Galahad's power, so he might just even walk through him. But he operates behind a tight guard, so he'll try and catch and shoot a lot of the punches on his. I think he's going to slow Kid Gallahad down. I think he's going to target the body as well. So I'm going with Josh Warrington by unanimous points decision. Successfully defend his IBF World Championship. Yeah, I'm going with that. Should be a good fight. I'm not sure what's happening on the undercard. I think there's some domestic rivalries. I think maybe Zelfa Barrett and Leon Woodstock, and Jason Wellborn, who fought Jared Hurd. Zelfa Barrett, Leon Woodstock should be two guys with similar skill levels, so maybe Zelfa Barrett on points in that one as well. None of them have got significant power, so yeah, so that's my prediction. Not a great deal time left up until the fight, so let me guys know what your thoughts are for the fight, who you got. Whether you got Josh, whether you think Josh can even stop Kid Gallahad. There's a possibility of that, but so drop down your predictions, your thoughts for the fight in the comments, and I'll hopefully catch you up for a post-fight review. So Corruption in Boxing, I'm out.